meeting. Hello, class. Okay, so we are in section 4.4, where we will talk more about logs. Okay, specifically this section I like to call the laws of logarithms. Okay, and specifically there's going to be these 3 rules that we need to know. All right, and they are called the product rule, the quotient rule, and the power rule. All right, and these are the 3 rules that you have to memorize and get good at. Okay, very important. All right, and they go like this. Okay, so if you have a log, any base, okay, and you have 2 things being multiplied inside, okay, by the product rule, you can actually split the log with a plus sign. So this is equal to log base A of A plus log base A of B. All right, and then the quotient rule is pretty easy. It's kind of what you would guess. So if I have 2 things being divided, you can split it, but instead of a plus sign in the middle, it's a minus sign. Okay. So this is the product rule and the quotient rule. Okay, the power rule is a little funny. So if I have a log, any base, and I have something to a power on the inside, basically I can take the power and put it in front. Okay, so what this looks like is this is equal to C log base A of A. All right, where now this is just like multiplied like normal. Okay, and so it is these 3 rules that this entire section is about. So this whole section is just, can you do these 3 formulas and can you use them well? Okay, so for example, okay, let's pretend I ask you to calculate this thing, log base 4 of 2 plus log base 4 of 32. Okay, well, we can use the product rule and combine them. Okay, so this is actually log base 4 of 2 times 32. Okay, which this is log base 4 of 64, and we all know that 64 is 4 cubed. Okay, so the answer is 3. Okay. And if you were to calculate these separately, you'll see that this is 1/2 and this is 3 over 2. Just getting 5 over 2. Okay, and then when you add the fractions, you get 6 over 2, which is 3. So it all works. Okay. And then in a similar way, let's say I want you to calculate log base 2 of 80 minus log base 2 of 5. Well, then we would use the quotient rule. Log base 2 of 80 divided by 5, which is log base 2 of 32. And that one we know is 5. Okay. And then lastly, if I have negative 1/3 log base 2 of 8, okay, I can then use the power rule and stick that in there. So I'm going to say this is equal to log 8 to the negative 1/3 base 2. We know that the cube root of 8 is 2. So this is negative 1/2. which we know that is -1. Okay. All right, so you can, those are just examples of how to use the laws of logs. Okay. The real kind of questions you guys will get on like exams and homework is basically there are two style of questions. All right. You're gonna get either expand or combine. All right, so let's start with the expand kind of questions. Okay. So what this will be like is you'll receive a log with just like a whole bunch of stuff on the inside. Okay. So here we go. This is a log, and your goal is to expand it so that there's only like a single thing inside of each little log. Okay. So what I'm gonna do first is I notice that like I have some fraction thing happening. So I'm gonna use the quotient rule first. And so I get the top minus the bottom. Okay. Quotient rule. Then I'm going to do the product rule. Oh, they both start with P's. No. Product rule. Okay, and I'm gonna move this over here actually. So right, I have 6 and I have like these 3 terms being multiplied. So I can do the product rule like 3 times and get log of 6 plus log of x plus log of y cubed. And then remember, this is still here. All right, and then to finish it off, do the power rule. Okay, so this 3, move it in front. This 2, move it in front. These already have 1s. So the final answer should be log of 6 plus log of x plus 3 log of y minus 2 log of z. Okay? And with this, there's many different ways. Okay, you could have product rule first and then quotient rule. You could have done a whole bunch of things. As long as you get to the correct final answer, everything's pretty much allowed, right? You just need to be using these 3 rules, product rule, quotient rule, power rule, correctly. And that should be fine. Okay, so let's do another one. Okay, so now I'm going to have natural log square root a b squared cube root c d cubed. Okay, now this one's a little bit more complicated. First, I want you to remember that roots are just fractional powers. Okay, so right, technically I have this. So my first step is actually I'm going to power rule this whole thing. Okay, so I should get 1/2 log ab squared cube root c d cubed. Okay, now I'm gonna quotient rule, but notice how this 1/2 is here now. Okay, so when I quotient rule and I split this log in half, right, I need to make sure I put parentheses because the 1/2 should go to both, okay, because they were once the same log. So I need this parenthesis, then the top minus the bottom. And then close the parenthesis, okay? And now I'm going to do the product rule, okay, with both of these. So 1/2 log a plus log b squared minus, okay, and notice, right, this is a minus sign. So when I split this log, I either need to distribute the minus sign or put parentheses. Okay, so it should look something like this. You can distribute the minus sign. That's actually what I would have done naturally. But Now you just power rule. Okay, so, and I'm going to distribute the 1/2 now. So 1/2 natural log A plus, right, you get 2/2 natural log B because of this times the 1/2. So that's going to cancel. Minus 1/2 times power rule this thing. So I guess I should write that down like this. C to the 1/3. So you're going to get 1/6 natural log C minus 3/2 natural log D. And ta-da, final answer. Okay. Kind of combine some steps here. Maybe not recommended. Okay. But let's do one more. Okay, so a simple one this time. Okay, just big though. So log base 5 of x cubed y 6th z 2 w 1/2. Okay, this one's pretty easy, right? There's no quotient, so I can just hopefully instantly, hope you guys see, just do the product rule with each little term. Okay. And so another thing to notice, guys, is I have to write the 5 all the time. Okay, the base is always the same. The logs should never be with different bases. Okay, so w half 5. All right, and then just power rule all of these. So 3 log 5 x plus 6 log 5 y plus 2 log 5 z plus 1/2 log 5w. Okay. And honestly, once you really memorize the product rule and quotient rule and power rule, you should be able to honestly be able to skip to the final answer from the beginning, right? You should be able to like break these into their own little parts and see. But still, you should know, show your work. Okay, very important. So this is expand. Okay, expand questions are I give you one log with a whole bunch of things on the inside, and you have to make a lot of logs with only one thing on the inside. Okay. The other kind of question you will be receiving are combine questions. Okay, so can you combine things? All right, so questions like these would be, here's an example. I give you 3 log x plus 1/2 log y minus 3/2 log z. All right, and with this one, you pretty much just do everything in the opposite order that we just did. Okay, we're basically undoing all of the steps that we would do in a expand problem. So the first thing I'm gonna do is do the power rule. Okay. So I'm gonna get log x cubed plus log, I'm gonna use square root y. And then with this one, I actually have options, okay? I can take the minus sign with me and get a negative power, or I can leave the minus sign and just take the positive part. I'm gonna leave the minus sign, so I'm gonna do it like this. So minus log z to the 3/2, right, which is square root z cubed, okay? But now, combine these two using the product rule. So I get x cubed times square root y. And then this thing will stay here. And now I can combine these two using the quotient rule and get the final answer. So you get the top, right, divided by the bottom. All right, very important that the whole thing is being divided, okay? This is the top, whatever is in here. and then the fraction bar is kind of the minus, and then whatever's in here would go on the bottom. All right. Okay, but this is a combined problem, right? Where I give you a bunch of logs with just one thing on the inside, and your goal is to make one single log. Okay. All right, so let's do another example. Okay. So here I'm going to have 3 log x plus 1/2 log y minus 4 natural log x squared plus 1. All right. And let's see what happens here. Okay, so again, I'm going to not just kidding. I'm going to power rule first, okay, because I'm doing basically everything in the opposite order. So x, this, parentheses, these are important, 4, okay? So, right, this goes in the power. Make sure you put these parentheses, okay? That's very important. In fact, I'm going to, this deserves red, okay? All right, but from now, it's kind of the same. Right, so combine these two and get log this minus log this. And then finally, you get the final answer, which is this is the bottom and this is the top. Okay. All right, so this is a kind of combined problems, okay? Now, okay, what I want to share is this looks pretty easy, but there's very easy ways to mess this up, right? So these are the 3 rules you know. All right. What is not allowed, okay, or very easily mistaken things that you think are the rules but are not the rules is, all right, log of a x plus y. Okay, a lot of students will make this mistake, so I want to make sure that you pay attention and do not make this mistake. Okay, this is 100% wrong. Okay, same thing with a minus sign. Okay, if there was a minus sign in here, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, you cannot do anything with a plus or a minus. Okay, there are no log rules. There's no sum rule or difference rule or plus rule. Okay, it works the other way around, right? The pluses go on the outside. If you have 2 logs with a plus, it becomes multiplication, not the other way around. Okay, so this is by far the most common mistake. And then you also get the mistake of log, oh, just kidding. Oh no, I think we're stuck with red for the rest of class. Okay. All right. Well, log a of x divided by log b of y equals log a of x divided by y. This again, extremely wrong. Okay. Notice up here, there is no rule for when I divide logs or even multiply logs. Okay. So the next common mistake I would write down would be log a of x times log a of y. This is not equal to log xy. Okay. All right. So if you have 2 logs being multiplied or divided, they don't do anything. All right. And the last common mistake is the power rule. Okay. When you see, this is really like textbooks professors' faults almost. But when you see this, all right, you assume it's really means this. Okay. And then you do the power rule and it just works out. Okay, this is okay. The problem is sometimes we actually mean this. Okay? So you need those parentheses. The parentheses are really important because this is not equal to this. Okay, this one is super wrong. All right, so be very careful with the powers and the parentheses. You need to know that the power rule only works when C is on the inside. If C is on the outside of the whole log, then there is no power rule. Okay? Alrighty then. So, let's do a couple examples. One more with numbers. Okay, so right here, I've just done the whole combine and expand thing with letters, with algebra, right? One thing you could see on your homework is this kind of question where I just ask you, okay, here's log 3 of 81 minus log 3 4 squared plus log 3 16 over 3. Okay, I ask you, what is this number? All right, and so if you don't want to use a calculator, one thing you would have to do is get a little creative with these power rules and these product rules. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write 81 like this, okay? And then I'm going to use the quotient rule to split this log up into 16 minus log 3 of 3, okay? So now, here I can do the power rule and get log 3 of 3, okay? Here, I can again do the power rule and get log 3 of 4. Here, instead of 16, I'm going to write 4 squared again. And then power rule. And then lastly, the log 3 of 3, right? These are matching. We know from the first section where I introduced logs that this is 1. And then we look at this and we see that these are supposed to cancel. And this is 1, right? So 4 times 1 minus 1. So 4 minus 1. So 3. Ta-da! All right. So that is one way to figure out the log of something. All right. But quick-ish lesson today. Really all you need to know are these 3 rules. Okay, just get good at recognizing the product, quotient, and power rule, and be able to expand and contract. Combine. All right, so expand and combine. I guarantee one of each is definitely on your test too. Actually, no, yeah, okay, yeah. But that's it for today. All right, see you guys next class.